Welcome back, everybody, to the live webinar here at BINA. This is part of the Purim series, part 3. Last week, we discussed the general idea of drinking wine or alcohol in general in Judaism. We discussed many times where it's a mitzvah to drink wine, such as Kiddush and Havdalah, or 4 cups of wine on Pesach, or on the festivals, etc., etc. And we discussed many stories throughout Jewish history how alcohol or drinking wine led to some terrible things. Last Thursday, we put this all together by explaining that it depends how you drink, when you drink, why you drink, and depends who is drinking. And the basic idea was that when wine goes in, the secrets come out. So it all depends on what your secrets are. If your secrets are nonsense, then the nonsense will come out. If your secrets are immorality, then immorality will come out. But if your secrets are the secrets of the Torah, holiness, godliness, then when you drink, that will come out. Now let's discuss Purim in particular. Let us focus on the special holiday which is coming up, the special festival of Purim. Purim is considered one of the happiest days of the Jewish calendar. In fact, not only Purim, the entire month of Adar, the Hebrew month of Adar, which starts this coming Sunday, is considered a happy month. We are told, our sages tell us, Mishenichnas Adar marbim b'simcha. When Adar comes in, when the Hebrew month of Adar comes in, we are commanded to increase in joy. And that's not only to increase in general joy, but actually the Jewish code of law gives us specific things which we are supposed to do in the month of Adar. For example, building new buildings and things like that, which bring to joy. However, on Purim, this joy reaches its height. We reach the height of this joy, the peak of this joy. Children dress up. We eat a festive meal, we give gifts of food to one another, we give money to the poor, because Jewish joy always comes together with helping those which are more unfortunate. However, all of that sounds good. If that would what it would be, that's pretty understandable. However, what's strange is a very important part of Purim, actually, which the Talmud tells us the following statement. Which means a person is obligated to drink, to get drunk on Purim, so much so that he should not know the difference between cursed is Haman being the one who wanted to annihilate the Jewish people, and blessed is Mordechai being the one who essentially saved the Jewish people. So there are a number of questions on this very strange mitzvah. Number one, what type of mitzvah is this? To get so drunk that you lose your mind? That you're totally out of control? Yes, we discussed that there are many times throughout the year or every single week that we are commanded to drink wine, but that's all in very strict moderation. In fact, on the festivals, when we discussed that there's a mitzvah to drink wine every single day of the festival, in olden times, in temple times, the Jewish court would send out like police or people that would watch over everybody that was drinking to make sure that the drinking doesn't get out of hand. In other words, it had to be done with a limit, in moderation. Why would Purim be any different? Why would you have to drink so much that you forget between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai? That's quite a bit. Second of all, more specifically, why would I want to forget the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai? Isn't that the whole Purim story? Whenever we have a commandment on a festival, the purpose of the commandment is to bring out the concept of the festival. So for example, matzah on Passover, on Pesach. The matzah is to remember when the Jewish people left Egypt, they didn't have enough time to bake dough, that it should rise and turn into bread, so we eat matzah to bring out the miracle of the day, that they left Egypt in such a rush, they didn't even have enough time to bake matzah. And every single year, we sit in the sukkah on Sukkot. The reason is to remember what the festival is all about, which is to thank God for the miracle when we went out of Egypt through the desert with the clouds of glory surrounding us. why would the commandment on Purim be to forget about Purim? What's the whole story of Purim? The whole story of Purim is that Haman is cursed and Mordechai is blessed. Haman lost and Mordechai, representing the Jewish people, won. Why would the commandment of a day be in contradiction to the whole day? Especially when we think a little bit deeper and we think about what does Haman represent and what does Mordechai represent. Haman represents evil. Haman represents sin. Mordechai represents good. Mordechai represents doing mitzvahs, keeping God's commandments. What, on Purim, suddenly bad becomes good and good becomes evil? Very, very strange mitzvah. So, let's go first look at this more simply, and then as we go further, we'll go more and more deeper. So first of all, a lot of halachic authorities, including the Ramah, who is a great Ashkenazi Posek, great Ashkenazi halachic authority, says that this doesn't mean literally that a person has to drink to crazy amounts. It means that a person has to drink a little bit more than they're used to. When a person drinks a little bit more than they used to, they become tired. When that happens, they fall asleep. And when you're sleeping, you don't know the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai, because when you're sleeping, you don't know the difference between anything, because your mind is not working straight. That is one very basic explanation that is brought in many halachic authorities. Some people explain that what it means is that you should drink, not that you should know the difference, but when someone says these two phrases, Or Haman and Baruch Mordechai, you should be slightly confused that you shouldn't really be able to tell what they're saying. In other words, it's just a little bit hazy what people are saying to you. There's a very famous explanation that we know that every Hebrew letter has a numerical value. So Aleph, for example, besides being a letter, is also a number, is number 1, Beis is number 2, and so on and so forth. If you have a look at the two phrases, Arur Haman, cursed is Haman, and Baruch Mordechai, blessed is Mordechai, these two phrases actually have the exact same numerical value. And let's quickly go through this. Arur Haman is, Aleph is 1, Reish is 200, then we have Vav is 6, Reish is 200, that is 407. Then we have Haman. Haman is Hey is 5, Mem is 40, and Nun is 50, which is 95. 95 plus 407 is 502. Then we have Baruch Mordechai, so Beis is 2, Reish is 200, Vav is 6, Chaf is 20, that's 228. Then we have Mem is 40, Reish is 200, Dalet is 4, Chaf is 20, Yud is 10, that's 274, 228 plus 274 is 502. If I got those calculations wrong, maybe I've been drinking too much. And that's exactly what these commentaries explain. The commentaries explain that on Purim, you're supposed to drink enough that you shouldn't be able to work this out. You shouldn't be able to work out this calculation. Now, for someone like me, that doesn't take too much. Maybe if you're better at math, maybe that means you have to drink a little bit more. But it's not that much. To be able to try and make this whole calculation takes a certain presence of mind. I'll end today with a slightly more deeper meaning of this, and that is as follows. Going back to the concept that Haman represents something, not only the person, Haman is a concept. Haman represents sin. Haman represents wrongdoing. Mordechai represents doing good, doing mitzvahs, following what God wants. And the meaning behind this is as follows. When it comes to oneself, if you're looking at yourself, you should judge yourself that Arur, Haman, and Baruch Mordechai. That Haman is cursed. The bad parts of me are bad, and the good parts of me are good. And I need to know that. I need to know what is good and what is bad. But that is only when I'm looking at myself. When I'm looking at somebody else, there it has to be Abdullah Yada ben Arur Haman Baruch Mordechai. There you shouldn't differentiate. Meaning that when you look at somebody else, you shouldn't judge them based on how Haman are they or how Mordechai are they, how many mitzvahs do they do and how many transgressions do they do. Rather, you should just look at them as a precious Jew and a precious human being. So that's what it means that on Purim, we say a little bit of l'chaim, and that brings people closer together to such an extent that we cease to see other people as Haman or Mordechai. Rather, we see the good within everybody. We cease to differentiate between the bad and good within another person. On Thursday, we will continue this discussion and go into this a little bit more deeper to discuss how all of this actually has to do with Purim more specifically, and actually how this mitzvah of not knowing the difference between Kursat Haman and Blessed is Marachai is perhaps one of the deepest mitzvahs that we have. So join us then, but till then, have a great week.